Lightweight strikers meet in the small cage. It's the UFC's Apex. And Matt, for Maheshate, he's looked pretty darn good in the UFC's Apex. I mean, he came in taking on Achilles Extremadura, the Canadian. And he got rocked around a bit at the start of that one. And he ended up pulling out the win. He was a giant underdog. Dana White alluded to it as much. Very young man. And they signed him into the UFC. He's an underdog against Steve Garcia. Goes out there, doubling up on the same shot and dropping Steve Garcia. But his last time out against his second Garcia in consecutive fights, Rafa Garcia's pretty good. And Rafa was able to mix in the takedowns, beating Maheshate. Maheshate's not going to have to worry about the threat of the takedown. And neither is Slava Clause. That's the part that he struggles in. And you know that Slava Clause, I mean, he's got the boxing experience as a pro. He's a K1 champ, 2010, 2011, 15-2 pro kickboxing record. Coming on to Dana White's Contender Series, Slava Borshchev, not the greatest level of competition.
No.
Beats Chris Duncan with that crazy knockout. And then we're off to the races. Now, for Slava Clause, he gets taken down by Harry Dakota Bush, but he drops him. And then his last two times out, he gets taken down so much. So much. So where Borshchev got hit and rocked in some of his early fights as a pro, I know Kenley St. Louis was 3-3 at the time that they fought. But Kenley is now 9-4, and he's a PFL fighter, and he's really improved his career. When I look at this matchup, both of these guys struggle with takedowns, and both these guys are pretty good strikers, although they will give one to take one.
And that's the concerning thing about this fight. For Borshchev, it is interesting because he can have success on the back foot with his striking style. He's someone who will square himself up, which is normally seen as a negative. And don't get me wrong, he will eat shots as a result, but offensively, he does make guys pay for moving forward on him without really kind of being defensively sound. So Maheshate, this is a weird fight, honestly, because whoever has kind of the confidence early and success early, it could lead to their downfall, because if you start to strike in a reckless way, the opponent in both sides is going to be able to make you pay. Now, for Borshchev, we saw it in the Bush fight. He was able to go to the body and finish him with that beautiful left hook. It's a technique he does use quite a bit. I'll be curious to see just how much the body shots do factor into this fight, because if he's going to the body a lot in Maheshate, especially early on in this fight, it's water in the basement, to quote Teddy Atlas. So if it does start to slow Maheshate down, I could see Slava Borshchev being able to land some more crisp power shots. But the defensive liabilities that Slava has shown through basically all of his career are quite concerning. A, will it always result in a really fun fight? Yes. But B, you're always going to worry he's going to lose to basically everybody. Coming out Contender Series in the top 15, no matter where he is in his career, you're always going to have that little bit of a concern just because of how reckless a fighter he is. And it is kind of wild. You bring up the background. He does have a very high-level striking background, but he does like to fight in a lot of these kind of crazy or car crash type brawls. So this is a very difficult fight to predict because either guy could easily get a stoppage win.
The thing that surprises me is, well, you train at a gym with a bunch of wrestlers, you're gonna be a good wrestler. If Nick Fiore was a good striker and training at New England Cartel, you'd see it in his fights, but he's a grappler. Slava Borshchev is a kickboxer that trains a Team Alpha Male. He's not a good wrestler because of it. He's getting better, or at least he's trying to, but in the UFC and Dana White's Contender Series, Matt, 4 fights total. His takedown defense for Slava Borshchev, 31%. 24 of 35 takedown attempts have landed on him. And guys just keep going to that well, because if you look at it for Borshchev, he really does struggle with trying to get back up to his feet. So every round starts back on the feet. It is what it is. The origin of his nickname being Slava Clause. Uriah Faber and Cub Swanson like giving out nicknames. And he said, Uriah Faber gave me my nickname. I give off good vibes. Good vibes, bro. Peace and love. And if you do look at it, for Maheshate, he got into MMA because the first MMA fight that he saw was Robbie Lawler versus Roy McDonald. Going to be inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame coming up this year. Lord Nikon says it's hard not to pick a young, talented, developing fighter because you just assume they're rapidly improving. If they were, I'd pick Chase Hooper every single time. Maheshate in the matchups, the underdog. Slava Borshchev is the favorite. We have a look at the Topology vote. Surprise to us there to you. I'll say over under 65% Slava Clause.
I think it'll be over.
No. 980 total votes. 58% Maheshate, 50% by decision, 40% by knockout for the 42% that have Borshchev, 39% by decision, 53% by the knockout. So Matt, when it does come down to this one, who do you have in the matchup?
Everything about what we've just said means that I should pick Maheshate, but I'm going to sag a little bit, go with Slava. I just think he's the more powerful striker 1-for-1, and if they do get into some of these more, 50-50 exchanges, I think it's going to favor Slava. Now, he could get knocked out in the opening 13 seconds of this fight, and I wouldn't be surprised at all. Let me get that out of the way, but he also has immense power, and I do think this fight is going to give him the opportunity to land some of those strikes.
I do have a hard time with this one. You can see it there on the screen. Maheshate, when he was a kid, his background was Greco-Roman wrestling. He won like a kind of a close to home meat in that, and he also had boxing in his back pocket. Boxing's the thing that definitely got him to the dance, and coming into the UFC, or even on to Dana White's Contender Series, level competition, combined opponent record, 26-36-2. So he wasn't really beating the socks off of very good fighters, but when you do look at this one, Matt, it is a really hard pick. I have Slava Borshchev, but a strong gust of wind could bring me either way in this matchup. It's not a very high-level fight at lightweight. Both guys coming off of losses for Borshchev. It is 2 in a row, so both of us going with Slava Borshchev in the fight. But again, let us know who you have down below in the comments section. This is definitely one that you want to see them square off on Friday, and we talk about it some more in Question Mark Kicks on Saturday. A big-time matchup. The next one on the card, also at lightweight, between a couple of guys who are seesawing in their career. You're not going to want to miss it.